In this video, I will show you 6 different ways to create botanical structures that look like ferns. The first one is the long-tailed daisy. Work from the outer end to the center. Bring out your needle, go back in through the same stitch point and pluck a bit of fabric. Loop the thread around and pull it out to create a loop. Anchor it down with a long stitch that touches the stem. Repeat this on each leaf that you intend to make. Space these stitches as per your wish. I have spaced them a little far. We are taking advantage of the long-tailed daisy's tiny leaf-shaped structure. Now, finish the stem using the back stitch. You may also use the stem stitch. The next one is the lazy daisy. This is probably the most common way to create a fern-like structure. I begin by making the stem. Use the back stitch or the stem stitch for this purpose. I'm using the stem stitch with 6 strands of the embroidery thread here. Once the entire stem is worked, you can start doing the tiny leaves using the lazy daisy. Unlike the long-tailed daisy, you would perform the stitch from the center to the outside. Bring out the needle close to the stem. Go back in through the same stitch point and pluck a bit of fabric at an angle. Loop the thread and pull the needle out. Anchor it down using a tiny stitch just outside the loop. This is what these 2 ferns look like. Now I work a fern using the Pistil Stitch. I have drawn slanted lines to guide me with the angle. Come out from a point closer to the stem. Wrap the thread twice around the needle. Take the needle in through the other end of the slanted line. Keep the wrap pulled while you pull out the needle. I try to make closer stitches, so I am also stitching between the diagonal lines. The pistil stitch follows the technique of the French knots, but maybe this is much easier. Keep the tension of the wraps as consistent as possible each time to create the same sized knots. Finish the stem using the back stitch. The fourth fern is made using the whipped fly stitch. This is a super easy one to do. Begin with a single straight stitch. Then come out from the side. Go in through the other side and come back up from the center through the same stitch point. Pull out your needle to form a V shape. Anchor the stitch down on the stem. Continue stacking these stitches one under the other. I'm using 6 strands for a thicker look. This stitch works excellent with 3 strands too. Use a couple of back stitches to finish the extended part of the stem on the bottom. Now continue with the same thread to whip around each stitch on the stem all the way up. This gives the stitch a rolled look and an embossed effect, which is pretty to look at. The next fern is made using the raised stitch. I have marked the lines alternately. I will stitch on these lines first. Make a straight stitch on the line. Then come out a little ahead to make another stitch to connect to it. Next, start making stitches on the sides that are stepped down each time. This is pretty and delicate to look at. I'm using only 3 strands of embroidery thread here, since my raised stitch is small and using 6 strands would make it bulky. The stitching is so much comfortable with just 3 strands of thread. After working on all the slanted lines, start working the stitches on the gaps during the return journey. Finish the stem by making back stitches. No botanical structure is complete without the mention of the fern stitch. The name itself is enough to understand that this is a standard stitch to create fern-like patterns. Stack a series of 3 straight stitches. Finish the fern by stitching the extended bit on the bottom using the back stitch. Now, let us stitch the name of the month. Use 3 strands for more control over the stitching. Use tiny stitches to work the letters. Decide the path you want to take beforehand. This will help in avoiding stitching over already stitched areas. This is the finished pattern with 6 lovely ferns in different shapes and colors. I loved making this video for you. I hope you enjoyed watching this video as much. Let me know if you have enjoyed this video and drop me a comment. This pattern and many more are available on my Patreon page. The link is given in the description. Thank you for watching.